the weekly way. Oh, I can't spend the nose. The weekly way. Oh, can't tell me home. The weekly way. Did you see it? The weekly way. I'm glad you stopped by. Take me to him, baby. Take him up again. Oh, can you tell me who? I found out. Yeah.
I think I'd be pretty disappointed because then what's the point?
Yes. Oh, can I hear you now?
I don't know. Can you?
Now I can. Now I can.
Amazing.
Dr. Nicole Wess, what's going on, Blair?
Not much at all, let me tell you. I mean, there's always something happen, but I've been chilling recently.
Well, I feel like for as long as I've known you, you've had like dual lives in the pursuit of two equally terrifying dreams in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really cool to see you take this milestone of passing the boards and being on to that next step of your career.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So this was day 2 of me actually working as a real pharmacist in a sense.
What were you doing before that? Casual pharmacist?
Yeah, casual.
Half-assed?
Casual, yeah. So I was just continuing my intern's license. So throughout school, you are a pharmacy intern. So you're kind of like a weird in between a pharmacist and a pharmacy technician. So I was doing kind of in between work, and now I'm doing like the real thing, verifying meds for each patient, making sure each med's appropriate for the patients, making the drugs, all that good stuff. So it's a lot more intense and a little more nerve-wracking because there's more of a chance to hurt someone, which is a terrible way to think about it, but
it's the real thing in that regard. Like, so now you're the person that's signing off on the work that's being done. Is it kind of like you take a step up and you don't do as much of the manual counts and whatnot, and you're more just verifying? It's almost like in architecture, like you need the person that signs off on this, and then they carry the liability. You really get paid for the liability that comes along with the job.
Exactly, and that's something I think a lot of people miss is the doctor writes the prescription, but then the pharmacist has to look at the prescription and then decide, was that actually appropriate? Did the doctor mess up? Are you about to fill something that's wrong? Because if something is wrong, that comes back on the pharmacist.
That's eerie.
Mm-hmm.
And in that regard, do you have as much background as most doctors would of what's an appropriate prescription for someone's body weight and get those kind of reads on people? Or do you really just see the person walk up and you say, this seems like the right drug amount, or not really?
Definitely the first one. You have to know everything from like body weight to knowing allergies, drug interactions. Luckily, there is tons of resources out there to double check us too, but it is our own job to know the basis of it, and that's why pharmacists get doctorates nowadays, because now you learn more about disease states, you're learning about like drugs more in-depthly, so then when doctors prescribe for each disease state, you can determine, was that actually appropriate?
That's bizarre to have to double check a doctor's work like that and to be informed on all those things while also being the specialist in pharmacology, which everyone gets such a bad context of these days. And I feel like it's only going to get worse in that regard. But so much of the problem of drugs in our lives is user error. So it's weird to carry the liability, to have the expertise in it, and also just to stand behind a casual counter like a Walgreens or a Meijer, not plural, no more Meijers.
No more Meijers,
I'm
no
fixing my
Meijers.
Shit.
Our Midwest people thing.
Is it really just the Midwest?
Apparently. At least I see posts on Facebook that say it's a Midwest thing.
And it gets people fired up, obviously, if you work in the centers.
Yes. I mean, I barely notice it because I'm definitely one to also say Myers, Kroger's.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're going to want to work in a more casual setting like that, or do you like pharmacology in hospitals?
I go back and forth. My heart is definitely goes to helping those that are underserved, and those underserved populations go to clinics most often. So I would love to end up eventually in one of those kind of clinics. For now, I would love to stay as far away as from retail as possible.
Yeah.
There's giant walkouts that are happening right now because they're understaffed and underpaid, and no one wants to work for them when that starts becoming big pharma, big corporate stuff. So right now, working in the hospital seems like the perfect fit for me until I'm able to find those kind of clinic positions.
And when you're in a hospital setting, most of the time a nurse is going up to one of the machines and putting in what they're. So how does that work from your end of seeing the order get placed? How does the order go from you to a machine to actually in the hands of the nurses?
It's kind of cool. Like, it's hard to understand. There's a system we use called Epic, and that's a huge healthcare like portal. I'm assuming is what you would call it.
Yeah, like my charts
It's
and
like a
all
my
that.
chart
Yeah,
related to that.
that's like
Anyways,
the master server, right?
yeah. So doctors, instead of handwriting prescriptions like they used to, will then enter it on the computer. I will pull it up on my computer. I can see the patient's labs, their charts, their history, what they're going through right now. Then determine, okay, yeah, they should definitely get some potassium. Their potassium's low, right? And half the time they're loaded into these machines called Pyxis. So then, now that the order's on that patient's chart, the nurse can go over, type in the patient's name, be like, pull out potassium for them, and then they can give it.
And it's already in the Pyxis machine.
Single
y-
dose, like ready to go.
Oh, so you're more of just confirming that the order can go through. Like based on what I see, this seems like a safe option.
For the most part, there's also meds that we don't load in the Pyxis because, there's thousands of meds out there.
Yeah.
So we can't load thousands of meds into that little tiny machine. So if there's other specific meds or things that have to be made, then they have to get verified, made in the pharmacy by technicians. Pharmacists usually do those double checks, and then it gets brought to the floor by those technicians.
Fascinating. So when something's getting made, you're saying is that like certain mixtures? Do things come in like a powder form, and then you're gonna have to do like the right amount, like water solubility or whatever that is?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like Breaking Bad when it comes to making meds. I think it's kind of cool. For example, like today, I was in the IV room. So that's a room where you're just making IV bags. You are reconstituting things. Luckily, I'm not in the back kind of working on all that stuff because there is a lot more that goes into it. I'm more in the back making sure they're doing the double check correct, that they made the right medicine, was it the right dose that they pulled out of the vial that then goes in the bag. So it's kind of nice because then I'm not on my feet more and not sitting down just verifying orders.
Yeah, it sounds like a really odd like in the total extent of someone's career, the exposure that you get to drugs that are going to be in liquid form of just like I'm sure they wear a mask of some sort, but like you're gonna catch some inhalants. Like, what's
Yeah.
the chances that you don't go back home and like you're sniffing something that you probably don't want to be sniffing long term?
Well, it depends. It's actually so cool, and there's a lot more that goes into all that. Like the airflow has to be changed 30 times in an hour if it's the really hazardous drugs that are being made.
Fascinating. So it's like negative pressure rooms.
Negative pressure, positive pressure, so the outside air doesn't go to the inside. And then you also have hoods that everything gets made into.
Words. It looks
So
like a
that
kitchen
has its
back
own-
there.
yeah.
Now the Breaking Bad vibes are really kicking up
That's
a
what
little
I'm
bit.
saying. It's exactly that. So it's interesting because then you also have to do your shoe covers, your gowns. You have to wear hospital scrubs. You have to wash everything from your fingertips to your forearms. Absolutely no jewelry or nails like I have on now.
What do you have to
but-
do during a week that you're going to be working? Like, do you just pull them off and get in there and call it a day? Like,
Yeah, I won't lie. These are definitely press-on nails.
nice.
Yeah, I mean they also only cost $8, so
Yeah.
save a little bit of money.
But there's got to be a practicality to what you're going to be doing in your dual lives. Like, when did you get interested in pharmaceuticals, like, as a career path? Because I feel like not many kids look at that and they're like, that seems...
drugs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like, what the fuck you want to do? Like,
Yeah, it's funny. I've had so many different ideas as a career growing up. So first it was like marketing. I love talking to people. Let me sell you something. I was that kid who would like sell the most like chocolate bars in high school, right?
nice. Super competitive type.
Just a little bit. So I think I would have been
Flipping
good at
magazines, getting in like the cash
what
grab.
you want. Let me sell it to you. No, I love that stuff, but I also had a really big nerdy chemistry side. And my dad was the one who actually was like, have you ever thought about doing pharmacy? And I was like, why would I think about doing pharmacy in high school?
What's he do?
He's a construction worker.
No shit. So this wasn't like, oh, I see you around a practice that's similar to me. It's like, no, I got some friends making some money in the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Like,
My mom's, on her side of the family, it's like a second aunt to me. But she's also a pharmacist, and she told me she makes good money. You need a good money job. You should look into it. I was like, oh, I don't want a job just for the money. That's not what I'm looking at. But But then I realized all the things I love kind of connect back into pharmacy. I can help those that are underserved. I've been doing that my entire life, to soup kitchens like with my dad, to doing Matthew 25, Hands Against Hunger. And then I realized there's a connection with pharmacy with all that and chemistry. So going the pharmacy route allows me to do almost both of those passions. I'm a very passionate person about a lot of different things.
For sure. You're someone with clearly crazy drive in your life.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It just stresses me out slightly sometimes.
It's a hard thing to manage, especially when you have a multitude of hobbies and you also have a social life where people try to pull you into things. In terms of like the service works and this hope to be impactful for other people, is that just something you were raised around, or is that part of like your some people go into that world because some of us grew up with a guilty conscience and it's a way of saying like, no, I do something positive in the world. Other folks, it's just how they've learned to live their life. It doesn't feel as meaningful without that. Like, where did you kind of start that journey?
I won't lie, at first it definitely was like, oh, I got to do community service. So I'm Catholic, and part of the Catholic Church was doing 15 hours of community service before you are confirmed in the church, which is confirming your religion.
Yeah, I didn't have to do that. That's
well, I did.
Do it. I had to do it in high school.
Okay, I was gonna say Mueller probably forced you, and then you went along that track at that point.
And everything for me was just like going and playing free gigs for like the right benefits. So like I didn't do much like variety of community service.
Okay, well that sounds a lot more fun.
It was super convenient. I mean, if I had to be serving soup somewhere, like I don't know if that'd be my MO, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I knew nothing about it. I just know my dad was always like that caring person. My favorite memory was driving along the side of the road, don't even know where we were, and some lady was cutting the grass, got it stuck into the ditch. My dad just pulled over to the side of the road and helped this lady just pull it out of the ditch. Like my little brother were in the car. He's probably 4. I might be 8. And I was just like, did you know who that was? That was like one of our neighbors. He's like, no, she just needed help.
Was it a push mower or was it like a riding mower?
A riding mower.
No shit.
So those things are heavy.
Could you imagine being on that, just trying to keep it casual, and you get caught in a ditch, and you're like...
Oh, and it was like, like the one ditches?
Yes, like the full like side yard, like 4-foot drop into a well kind of a deal. Nice.
Yeah, and I was just like, dang, my dad's so nice for doing that. And so I've seen him always just be the nice guy. That's how like anyone who meets my dad, that's what they would describe him as, the nice guy. He'll do anything for anyone. He always put other people first. And so he was the one who was like, I want to go do these community service hours with you. I was like, all right, sounds good. Well, I have some friends going to the soup kitchen. My dad was like, all right, let's do it. He went to all those services with me. He encouraged me to keep doing them. And through the power of service is where I like end up finding like a love for it, because you realize how big of an impact it makes on people. I can tell you, like, going to the soup kitchen, the amount of people who would like come to me and like just want to talk, and you are that person for them to listen. They get emotional about it, and I got emotional about it. And you realize how you didn't even do much. You were just there to listen for them and just there to serve them a warm meal, and it made that big of a difference in their life.
For sure. I think the personability too, when you're down on your luck, most of the time you find yourself swimming in circles of people that are carrying a lot, and they certainly don't have the time or the space or the energy to hear you out and what's going on in your life, and to come in as a blank slate as a teenager with probably a little bit less concerns of the weight of the world in your life, and just to be a sounding board at times, but also to feed somebody. And there's so much kindness in a meal, in that understanding of subsistence and like what it means to have a full belly and no concerns of that for the next couple hours.
Yeah.
You've been in downtown as much as I have. It's like, you can give $5 to somebody and shoo them away. But when you can form a relationship with folks that are still trying to work their way to a place where they can have simple comforts, just having someone to talk to, and someone that actually remembers your name and remembers what you have going on is important. And it's weird the way that those kind of memories start to play in the back of your head when things are going well too.
Absolutely. And that's what led my passion into going into a charitable pharmacy. So I worked/volunteered for about 6 years with one of them downtown, St. Vincent de Paul, if you've heard of it at all. They have a bunch of thrift shops too.
Yeah.
But they have 2 pharmacies, and they give their meds to those that are in need 100% free.
And how does that work out on the healthcare side? Do they have an insurance company that is understanding of this pursuit that they're paying a certain premium to and the billing works out? Or is it like they're paying pretty much the out of pocket cost with no ability to kind of offset that?
So most of the time, those patients don't even have insurance. They don't qualify, or they might not even qualify for like Medicare, Medicaid, whatever it is. Maybe they're in the donut hole. Maybe
In the
they don't.
donut hole?
Yeah, which is kind of like where they can't pay for their meds. Like the insurance will pay for so much until you like hit a premium in a sense, and then all of a sudden you got to pay so much more. So it's like, oh, I was getting that med almost free, and now it's costing me $200 a month. So that's like the donut hole. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's a hilarious phrase for a very serious issue. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
keep it light.
yeah, we kind of just keep things light and jokey around here.
To some extent, you need to.
You do. But their meds are 100% free. And the reason we get those meds are most of the time, I consider them second life meds because they were in a nursing home possibly, and they were individually packaged, or maybe from a hospital, or one of those long-term care facilities, and maybe someone didn't make it, or maybe they transferred facilities, moved out of the facility. Either way, now there's meds there that no one's going to use, and they don't know what to do with them. So then they get donated to the pharmacy. So instead of something like going in the trash, it actually gets donated and then can be repurposed. Or if something's going to expire soon from the hospital and they can't use it in time, it gets donated, just like insulins. I remember one month I was there, we got so much aspirin. We had no idea what to do with it. I was like, no one will ever use this aspirin in 3 months.
Yeah.
But it's really cool.
What happens with drugs like that, especially like the more serious types of compounds, when they expire? It's not like they lose all their potency. Like people will keep a Vicodin on a shelf for 3 years,
Yeah.
and someone's still going to take that at some point, right?
So legally,
Yeah,
right.
don't disclose anything that's inappropriate, but tell them the truth.
Yeah. So, okay, legally, like, yeah, if something's in the pharmacy, it expires, it has to be put into a destruction bin, and then it actually gets incinerated. Destruction company picks it up and incinerates everything.
There's someone trying to huff that incineration. That's crazy.
I'm wondering where it's at. I'm like, man, you would have to, like, enclose that thing, because if that, like, chemical smoke went somewhere...
Someone's getting fucked up. There's
Yeah.
a bird flying over, just losing their shit, just full tweak.
Right. So I really want to know where it is just for that reason, not for any other reason, of course. But I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely that person who's like, man, I've had like that bottle of ibuprofen for like 5 years because I bought the extra large size from Costco.
Felt good.
Yeah, it felt good. It might be a year or two expired, but I definitely still use it.
Yeah. Well, it's a weird thing to say, like, okay, after this point, it's no good in a legal sense. And I get, like,
Yeah.
it does lose some of its potency, but it's not like it's going to go by the wayside. And there's all these, like, programs that the police stations in your local neighborhoods will have where it's like, bring us your drugs.
take
No,
that.
no questions asked. Like, is that all going to the same incinerator?
Yep, most likely.
God, that sounds like the weirdest job in the neighborhood. Just like you're the guy that burns all the leftover
I
drugs.
burn the drugs.
Exactly.
No big deal.
Full trash bags full of like leftover aspirin and like
Yeah.
bottles of Pepto and
It's so crazy. What I also think is kind of weird is, so like with the charitable pharmacy, at one point they like used to accept a lot of meds, or even like people that were just trying to get rid of their meds, they used to collect them and then we'll add them to the incineration bin. But then you have to pay for that stuff to get incinerated. And like, man, that costs a lot of money too. So something that's already doing something out of charity, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Having to try to donate your meds there. So definitely donate them to your police officers, like the fire station. I think all of them do like the drug take back stuff.
Yeah, whatever's the easiest, like low cost version of that. But
Yeah.
wouldn't there be an opportunity that some of these drugs could be used in insurance-less, parts of the conversation? Where it may not lose all of its potency. Like, to say that they're worthless at that point is a very odd thing.
Yeah, I agree. But unfortunately, there is not. Everything is so government tied up nowadays. So.
Yeah, it's more of a liability concern for the pharmaceutical companies that are pushing it out.
Oh, absolutely.
How do they determine how long something can stay on a shelf? Is that like the half-life of the drug and like oxidation or... Jeez, that was not the word.
Oxygenation?
The oxygenation.
Oxidation.
Oxidization.
I knew what you meant, so it's okay. Yes, exactly. They literally are in a lab, usually kind of testing how long it lasts. They'll throw some oxygen at it, look at the chemical makeup, and figure out what would be the half-life of all of it and then determine that's your expiration date.
Yeah. Did you ever consider going into that side of the field of like testing these things and being on more the forefront of like developing those drugs?
Yeah, of course. I mean, to say like you make drugs is kind of cool.
Pretty weird. It's
Pretty
not
weird.
super Breaking Bad.
I know. I'm a big fan of the show, if you can't tell. But yeah, because I'm really interested in learning how are drugs even made. And I love learning, which also sounds super nerdy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People
but
don't like that, Nicole.
I'm a little nerdy. No, I love learning. I think the idea of learning about drugs and figuring out how did they just create a drug that then works in your body is really interesting. So I was thinking about doing research, but then there's also like the whole testing side of it and trying to get approval for things. And honestly, it just seemed like a lot more busy work than I really wanted to do.
Yeah. It also seems like the kind of occupation where really all you're doing is watching a bunch of rats die until it's time to do like a really like, debatably safe study. And like, I'm always interested when you have folks that like, either like, anyone want to test some drugs? It's like, right here, $50, let's do it. People who really don't mind like the guinea pig kind of strategy, because that's a scary place to be.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our U.S. military are very kind in the way that they treat themselves when they go through that, because you can make some good money during that point in time. You can put it away so when you come out of the service, you're able to at least get off the ground. But during that time, like, you take a lot of shots and see what happens, and that's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that's just how meds are made. So for those people that do decide to do those studies and everything, they're amazing people. Like, we need them, but at the same time, it can't be me.
Yeah, exactly. Some of us are a little more concerned than others, and respect folks on both sides of that.
Yeah.
Is it weird in a hospital setting to see biases from doctors about which drugs they use when you might know more of the actual chemistry behind what they are and how similar they can be at times?
Absolutely. I would say in a hospital, I don't see it as much. I see it more like in the outpatient setting. So, like when I was volunteering for that clinic and helping out with St. Vincent, they do med recs, which is looking at the patient's med list and then figuring out why are they on each of those meds, right? And then also matching with their disease states. It's like, okay, you have diabetes. Do you have a diabetic medication? Which medications are there? Are you on a crap ton of insulin? Can we take you off a bunch of crap ton of insulin, right? Can we try different meds? Same idea with like blood pressure and everything else. So when it comes to that, it's like, oh, well, maybe you're a certain age group, maybe you have diabetes and heart failure and all this other stuff. Well, maybe you might benefit from being on a medication like a statin because it actually helps with your cholesterol and helps with preventing more cardiovascular issues.
Yeah, and what is a statin?
It's a medication, like, have you heard of like Lipitor, Atorvastatin, Simvastatin? I don't know. If you
I'm
know
sure
what it is.
Em's told me some of these, but like over my head.
They're all
Lipitor
like
sounds more familiar, but maybe that's just 'cause it's fun to say.
probably, but if you think about lipid, right? Lipitor, I don't know. Anyways, it goes back to your cholesterol, so it keeps your arteries free flowing in a sense.
Yeah.
So those medications are really good for people with diabetes and people with heart failure because most likely the cause of people having diabetes is cardiovascular issues. So being on a medication that already helps benefit you in your cardiovascular stuff can make a better benefit in your life, help with, mortality. So then we reach out to the doctor like, hey, this, and this, and this is why we think the patient should be on this medication. Are you okay if we start them on that? Can you write a new prescription?
Interesting.
Yeah.
And when you look at someone's like a laundry list of drugs, folks who are coming in and, for a variety of reasons, they have 5 to 10 that are just their dailies. How much that starts to look like chain reactions that you're trying to treat people on? Like it's the reactive side of medicine, not the proactive side of medicine.
I feel like I see it a good amount. I don't see it as often anymore. It's always interesting when what I've been noticing nowadays is like looking at people's allergy list and being like, oh, wow, they're allergic to this pain medicine, cause nausea and vomiting. Well, that's not a side effect. That's just what it causes because of how it works. So, and then they're taking another med to combat the nausea and vomiting, but that one doesn't work that well. So let's add this one on. But now I'm staying up at night because of this one. So now I'm on the sleep medicine. So,
Jesus.
literally. So I just feel like medicine starts to kind of not help you so much. So I feel like if you can be on the minimal that helps you as much as possible, be on the minimal. You don't need to add all your extra vitamins and all your ginseng and St. John's wort and all these things that you've heard are natural products, because they might be interacting with the basic medication you're on, then that's causing that to not work, and then you're causing to have more issues.
That's interesting. I was really kind of like mind boggled when Em would start to describe to me like precursors in medicines. Like if you dietarily are missing something, or if there's another drug in your system that's causing kind of, this barrier that we're trying to cross with this, that we're trying to actually treat you with, is being blocked by these 5 other things. It's like most of the time when you're being treated for an issue, they're not looking at your full health right up. They're just trying to fix the issue and get you out of the office and on to the next.
Yeah, hospitals are the same way, and I hate to say it that way. And what sucks is because that's the goal of the hospital, right? Like, get you back to a steady state, and then hopes that you will go see your primary care provider and then figure out so that problem doesn't happen again. Often or not, those people aren't going back to see their primary care providers. They were good. The hospital geared them, right? So they're fine.
And primary care just doesn't come as second nature to most people. Like, if you grow up in a household where your parents had the time and the consideration to make sure you went in there once, twice a year just to stay on top of it, that's awesome. But I'd say the vast majority of the country only went to the doctor when they had an issue. So these chronic issues, by the time you're 25, has become a daily deterrent to you getting any better.
Absolutely.
And it's just messy.
It's crazy. I was just talking to someone actually recently about that, and they're like, oh, I haven't been to a primary care doctor in years. And I was like, of course, like, why not? And they're like, well, I feel like every time I go, I just get another disease state, or I get diagnosed by something else, and I don't want to, know I'm diagnosed by something else. And so, like, yeah, I understand that. I mean, that's like why I'm afraid of the dentist. Like, I'm afraid they're going to tell me I have another cavity or something.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you go to the doctor more often, maybe they would be able to tell you some ways that you can prevent something from actually becoming a disease state. It's like, hey, like, your cholesterol is getting a little high. Maybe try changing up your diet a little bit. Or maybe your blood pressure is running a little high. Are you anxious? Are you nervous? Maybe they have underlying anxiety. Maybe they could benefit from seeing a therapist. Who knows?
But I think that fear of being overdiagnosed sometimes is like, it's real for all of us. And I think the current state of the world, there's a lot of self-diagnosis that goes on, where people are convinced that this is what they got going on, and they start treating it on their own accord, which sometimes can be a great proactive thing, and other times it can be like the beginning of a bunch of catastrophic mistakes. And
Absolutely.
That's sad to see that people are so concerned with the what is it and not the why, and how they can start to see a professional about those things.
Yeah. I wish I could. That's the only reason I wish I went down the doctor path a little bit more, right? Like, becoming a physician. Obviously not doctor path, because I am a doctor.
Kind of weird.
Kind of weird still.
Yeah.
But because being able to help people, like, diagnose and realize, like, okay, there's a lot more to diagnosing someone for something, rather than being like, oh, you have this, this, and this. Obviously, this is what your diagnosis is. Usually there's more to it, and people also don't understand diagnoses, what I've realized. Right? They don't realize, how did they get diabetes, or how did they get high blood pressure, or what can you do to make it not as bad, right? Or asthma, or having breathing issues. There's ways to kind of combat that and work to not have those problems as much, like simply as stop smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
So,
which is, being around the downtown scene, like, it's weird to watch the way that certain vices become they're taboo now. Like, smoking cigarettes is a little bit more on the taboo side, where you don't see it as often, but you see people fiending for vapes at every single part of the day. And it's like, that almost seems like a worse teat to be on, because of the amount of plastic you're inhaling on top of all that, like,
that you don't know what's in those vapes.
Yeah, by the time you charge that thing for the 100th time, it's like, it's not like the mechanism works the same.
Yeah.
And you've been cooking that thing on your carport charger, and it's like, they start to become messier and messier. Like, for a while I was enjoying weed vapes for a little bit, and like, they started to make my teeth feel weird. And I've had people tell me, it's like, yeah, I felt like it was affecting my hair growth. I'm like, that might be psychosomatic, but I don't know. Like, you never really can evaluate your reactions to these things objectively, because it's not like it's the one thing going into your body.
Yeah.
It's like, if you eat hot dogs for a living, but you're also ripping your nicotine vape, we can't put it all on the nicotine vape. Like, your problems are probably a little dietarily caused. But it's hard to get to that, the basic variable of what's going wrong with you.
That's what I think is so interesting is I saw a Facebook post by someone. I wish I remember who it was. And it
Throw
was
some shade, yeah.
I
Get
know,
'em.
I know. I'm like throwing shade. I don't remember who it was, but it was something about people talking about like the blood clots and that young people are starting to have like heart issues and lung issues. And they're like, oh, I bet it was the vaccine. And now I'm not saying like it was or wasn't the vaccine. I don't 100% know. But I also am saying around that same time period is when vapes started blowing up, right? And we don't know how those vapes work. We don't know how nicotine is really affecting the body when it's inhaled in that large amounts. But I can tell you that from tobacco use, right? The tobacco plant has the nicotine in it. And then you also have the tobacco, which is kind of causing a carcinogen effect to your lungs. But then it's also causing you to have high blood pressure, and then causing you to have like breathing issues, COPD, asthma, and stuff. So if you're telling me that can also cause blood clots and stuff, why isn't that possibly related instead of just why people were blaming the vaccine?
Yeah.
I know young people are also using vapes way more often. I can tell you, we go to the bar, 90% of the people have vapes.
Totally. And also the way that they get communally used. Like, that
Yeah.
was one of the things about like weed culture that's interesting is the amount of times that you hit and pass something.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much in a year that was making me sick for a long time until I wanted to address that.
Really?
But it's like not everyone takes care of their health in the same way that you do. It's like when you're orally sharing something, it's just like you're exposed to a lot of things,
Yeah. But people don't think about that. It's just like, oh, I got a fancy mixed drink. You want to try it?
Exactly. Well, yeah, that's even worse to me. I don't know. There's something that's way grosser to me about sharing drinks than sharing a joint. Like, I don't know why.
No, I feel like it's just as bad.
It definitely is just as bad, but there's something about it to me that seems different.
Yeah. No.
Dr. Cole's coming up. No.
No, I think it's just as bad, but at the same time, like, I can't be biased at all because I definitely am that type of girl where it's like, oh, we all ordered cute cocktails. Let me have one.
Well, you seem like you're someone that goes to the gym, but you don't seem like a workout fiend. It doesn't seem like your life. Those environments are also partially a risk for your health. I mean, like a dirty gym shower or a dirty gym sauna. I never thought about this till I met someone who had MRSA. They're like, I can't go in a steam room at the gym. And I'm like, why? They're like, because I could fucking die.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it is kind of gross in there. Like, people just
Yeah.
leave a soaked towel, they sweat, and it just becomes a biology class for a little
Yeah.
while.
That's why kids are common to getting MRSA too, if you didn't know, because sometimes they're not great at taking baths and showers at that age, and they're dirty, running around. They get a cut, doesn't get cleaned properly, bam, MRSA.
Yeah. And I guess that's just like a reason to carry Neosporin around. But like I was a kid where it's like they were gonna give me the Neosporin, like I kind of got running. Like I was getting away from that because it kind of burns and shit. I was being soft.
Well, have you ever had it where your parents put on hydrogen peroxide on that thing?
No.
And then it bubbles up. Oh, that is painful. You're actually not supposed to do that. If you're going to use hydrogen peroxide to like clean a wound, it's supposed to be around the wound.
Not on the wound.
No, not on the wound. But my parents, man, I swear they would dump that hydrogen peroxide on there, and then you would see that whole thing like bubble and fester, and that's not good.
Fester is a great word. Gosh, I'm gonna need to use that in the song later this week. It's just
Oh,
like
Lord.
it's the right kind of dirty, Like,
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a little cringy. Like, you get the point, for
It
sure.
is. Well, I also feel like as much as I love going to like a hot yoga class, like I don't know that they're doing what they
Ooh,
need
I
to.
didn't think about all that.
Yeah, that's kind of a dirty room. It's a lot of deep breathers going on in there.
It
Like,
is.
who knows what kind of toxins you just blew on the neck of the guy in front of you?
That's
but
like, hey, let's all incubate together.
deep. And then I start thinking about like hard-boiled eggs. I don't know why that's my association with the word incubate, but like
I don't know. That kind of creeps me out
romance.
now. I don't mind boiled eggs, but I think they smell really weird.
You have a point with that. I didn't like hard-boiled eggs until like the first time my mom was like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. You take the hard-boiled eggs, you break them up, a little butter, a little salt. Now it's more like classic scrambled eggs, but tastes way better.
But wait, butter on your boiled eggs?
Yes, butter and a little bit of salt after like you break them up. Not like here's an egg and like put it on like a roll. Like no, crush that bad boy up.
Like a mashed potato.
I can feel you judging me right now. I'm gonna need to show you at some point because I'm not gonna describe this well enough.
Yeah.
I swear it's dank. Okay.
I
And
don't know. It just butter and eggs seem kind of weird.
hard-boiled eggs also, like whenever I see that at a gas station, like I've been told that's a really good option if you want some protein on the road. it's relatively safe as considered to other things. Like if you would get a roller dog, you're putting yourself in a medical situation.
I don't know. I think I'd get a roller dog any day over some boiled eggs at a gas station.
Really?
Yeah.
I think also the quality of eggs is a very concerning thing as we start to like watch more documentaries about the mistreatment of chickens.
Yeah.
I don't think they have equivalent souls to us, but they definitely got some kind of soul.
Yeah, but still, at the same time, just nope. I'm
Nope.
still a roller dog person. I rather, but I know it's like out there in the air and like people can breathe and whatever hell on it.
Yeah.
But like,
Also, no one's
eggs-
ever scrubbing that down. No one's ever scrubbing down those rollers.
I mean,
The best is
Let's not
definitely the
think about it.
Tornado. If you're gonna go for it, it's like pretty much a large taquito,
Yeah.
beef and cheddar. That shit can be banging.
oh, actually, yeah, they have them at like Speedway.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty damn good.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm aware.
My keyboard player Jamarco was recently going back from Indianapolis with one of
Yeah.
our bandmates that he's a little more particular. He says no food in the car, ever.
Wow, he does not want to see my car.
He's just ratchet
It's
chips
a little
everywhere.
gross. Let's not talk about it. Don't look under my seat.
I know we're gonna need to talk about this later, but let me finish this story because it gets gross. No food in the car,
Gotcha.
ever. Jamarco's a little torn up. Decides he needs to get a snack at the gas station.
Oh no.
Gets 2 roller glizzies.
Oh no.
Puts the relish on them. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
gets decadent.
Yeah.
Walks up to the car and is like, "All right, I can see you're in need. Just make it quick, no mess."
Yeah.
Gets to the last bite and drops this relish-covered glizzy in this man's car.
Oh, like on the seat and everything.
I don't know if it was on the seat. Hopefully, it was on a mat that's very cleanable. But I know there's still some emotions about this situation.
He's probably like, never again.
Exactly. I like to bring it up whenever I can at this point because,
Aw.
like, you're gonna put a relish on a glizzy and then drop it in someone's car. Disrespect.
Yeah. I mean, if it had everything on it too, like even mustard, I feel like mustard would be a hard one to clean out.
Yes, but mustard is the greatest of all condiments.
Like regular yellow mustard or brown mustard.
I think if I'm gonna go with a classy brown mustard, that's a nice occasional thing. Yellow mustard is the way. As long as you shake that shit up. If you get that
You
yellow,
do,
you get that
yellow
juice. Oh God.
Yeah, no, that's weird. But like yellow mustard on a Skyline cheese coney,
Banging.
banging. Mustard on anything else, I'm gonna have to think about it.
Not on a
first.
burger?
I'd
Really?
rather have anything else.
Like mayo and ketchup on a burger, but no yellow?
Yeah.
I don't respect that. I think that's the
I'm so
wrong
sorry.
call.
You know what's kind of weird is I kind of like barbecue sauce on my burgers.
That's not a bad call. It just depends on the burger. If you put bacon on it, now I think everything's on. Like that's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Without it, I don't really get it. I like A1 on damn near anything. That can
Oh,
be,
I bet that would be solid.
that shit slaps.
So why haven't we had a restaurant try to do that? Is the real question.
Because I think restaurants disrespect A1, and it's also an expensive condiment to have on the table at all points in time. It's a pretty classy bottle, you know?
Yeah. You know what's an expensive condiment in my opinion, but it's always laid out? Chipotle's hot sauce.
People be nabbing that Tabasco. When I was a
I'm one of
kid,
those people.
yeah, really just taking a full bottle and be like, I'm out of
I'm
here.
like, oh, that Chipotle sauce, that's an unopened bottle. Throw it in the bag and run.
I used to watch my older brother do that one. Like, he was a teenager. I was an innocent kid, and I was like, David, that's stealing. He's like, it's not stealing. I just paid for my burrito. And
Yeah.
I was always shocked by that. But different morals for different folks.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're a happy thief. I mean,
Let's not talk about it.
but they put like the little side containers there. Like, I'm going to really sit there and just be doing the shake weight with this thing. And someone behind me is like, do you really need that much? It's like,
Like,
this is for the next
yeah.
week of my life.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was getting wabi sabi. You ever go there for sushi?
No, I've always wanted to. I
Tis
heard
be
it was like
dank.
good cheap sushi,
Yes, I mean all Cincinnati sushi is relatively cheap unless you go
but
to
it's
the
not
Ruby
all
Doobies.
good.
No, yeah, for sure.
Oh,
I
but
mean,
Ruby sushi?
I've only had one Ruby's roll, and it was fucking dank.
Do you know which one you got?
I think I got the Godfather.
Oh, that one was good, but not as good as the Houday roll.
Who? It's classless. Is it a Bengal roll, like a traditional Bengal, or what is it?
Nope, I literally looks nothing like a Bengal at all. I can't even remember what's in it, but it's got salmon on it. It's got like a little serrano pepper and these like weird little soy sauce kind of bead things that like just pop in your mouth. and it's quite a lovely
You mean
experience.
fish eggs?
Nope.
Masago? No.
Nope. I know what is it Masago?
Masago, I think, is the classy saxophonist.
I thought it was Masago. It's like I could be 100% wrong.
I think those are definitely fish eggs.
They're not. They're brown. Nice try.
You're obviously getting fired up. There's probably brown fish eggs out there.
Yeah.
I'm probably one Google search away from fooling you on this show. I'll do it later just because I'm not great at Googling. I mistype when I get nervous.
Or I'll just maybe go to Ruby's for dinner tonight, and I'll let you know.
Are you someone that can go to a classy establishment like that and just have like one appetizer and be like, that was my experience, I'm going home for dinner? Or do you ball out or nothing?
I feel like I eat like a bird, so balling out isn't necessarily like a thing I do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like going into Ruby's anyways, I feel like I ball out.
Word.
If I'm going to get a $20 sushi roll, I feel like that's pretty filling.
That's pretty decadent too.
Yeah, but then you get the bread, and then you get your roll, then you got to get your butter pie dessert.
No, I don't like doing the desserts. Like if I'm gonna do a dessert
Weird.
at a restaurant, I need to know that going in and leave room moving to that point in the evening.
I purposely leave room for
Okay.
dessert. Okay, their butter pie, life changing.
Butter pie just sounds very bland to me. I'm sure theirs is delicious because they do everything at a straight pimp level.
Oh yeah,
But butter pie sounds like
it doesn't work with the name at all.
okay.
But it's good. It's decadent. It's like a really good, like buttery cake.
I like when they have things come out in like the dry ice boxes, and I feel like I'm watching someone at Christmas. Like it's like, oh motherfucker, open that box. And
It is. It's so cool seeing one of those come out.
is it bad to huff dry ice? Because
Yeah,
people
for sure. I think so.
people definitely are. It's definitely a problem in the communities.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna sound so stupid, but I don't know. Isn't dry ice like carbon, like frozen carbon monoxide, dioxide, or something?
If it's
Isn't it,
carbon monoxide, I'm pretty sure that's
that would
really
kill
dangerous.
you. That would kill you.
Yeah.
It's like frozen something though, nitrogen. I don't
Maybe
know
it
what
is nitrogen. That would make a lot of sense.
But then when it turns to smoke, I think that's like concentrated like carbon dioxide. I thought.
Ew.
But then again, I don't know.
You know
'cause then
more
they
about
put it in
chemical
drinks.
reactions.
All I know is like if you drink it, it's
Yeah.
like it will burn a hole in like your esophagus. Apparently.
No shit.
Yeah.
They
so-
have to be putting some because I work at the fish bowl. I watch these foggy ass drinks
I
come out all
know.
the
That stuff scares me.
Your I know there was very like Disney, you know. I know.
I know. Yeah.
It's scary when that comes out, and I'm like, I don't know if you should be chugging that like that.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, if you swallow a piece of it, I'm pretty sure it like burns your throat.
Well, whenever I've gone to like I've gone to Bonnaroo for a couple of years, people
Always
say
wanted to go.
you should definitely make the trip. It is a hoot. But it is morally depleting. I mean, the rest of your year will be like trying to recover from this event. Also, you got to be
Amazing.
cool with sleeping in a field for a couple of days
Yeah.
and taking debatable showers, you know?
Yeah, I had an ex go at one point, and he was like, I don't know where I'm going to sleep. I'm just going to figure it out. He brought 2 2x4s and a hammock, dug 2 holes in the ground, like to make a V, and then hung the hammock across it.
That's pretty genius.
Yeah.
I bought a hammock stand for a reasonable price, and I've barely used it outside of Bonnaroo.
This
but
was like sophomore year of like college.
Okay.
So, we have like no money at that point. We
Yes,
just,
yes.
rigging everything up.
So, was your job all throughout grade school, high school, college, mainly the modeling?
No, I've always worked tons of random odd end jobs. I used to babysit a ton growing up. That's where I make a lot of my money
Yeah.
growing up, as most girls do. And then modeling kind of started around 13 years old. I didn't make too much money from it. I did lots of free jobs
Yeah.
just to like build the portfolio. It was really when I got into college, I started doing a lot more modeling.
It seems like so many people try to get you on the exposure train, and there's so many folks that I'd imagine go into that industry thinking that they're going to make it to the top 5% where there is serious money, but 90% of folks are out here still doing exposure gigs, a decade in because they have a certain name in mind that they want to be affiliated with. And there's
Yeah.
just a brutality to that industry that's kind of intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not wrong about that at all. It's kind of hard because sometimes I'll even weigh that with my jobs. Like, oh, do I want to do a job like that? Do I want to do this commercial for Gold Star Chili? Is that what I want to be?
Have you done a Gold Star commercial?
I definitely went to the audition for it.
I'm glad it didn't work out because you're a Skyline woman, right?
I am, but listen,
Have some class.
the money.
The money. They also have really good shakes there, and my out-town friends say really good burgers. I also grew up next to a Gold Star, so like I don't mind the dogs if I'm desperate, but
It's not Skyline.
I'm a name brand bitch. Like I don't
Yeah.
fuck around with
I
that.
want the Cincinnati chili.
Exactly.
Not Cincinnati chili. The Cincinnati chili.
Thank God Paycor knows how to take a bribe and finally put our team on the right track.
That's crazy. Like that was news to me when I found out they just started doing that with Skyline.
Yes. Now, Skyline doesn't do the Coney crates, which was my favorite thing to watch at a Bengals game, where a drunk dude comes back with 12 deep Conies.
No way.
Yeah. It was quite the setup. I mean, it was like watching the Crave crates from White Castle. That shit's foul.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
Okay,
a slice of lunch meat and a lot of bread. That's definitely been there longer than you've been alive, you know?
So you want to know what I did after my high school graduation? We celebrated by going to White Castle.
Where'd you go to high school?
We'll go to West.
Okay, I mean, kind of checks
Okay,
out.
after you've had a 660 person graduation and you've sat there for 3-4 hours and then you've stressed so much because you like had school. I don't know, maybe we had school that day or we had something that day, and then we're rushing to go down to Xavier to have our graduation. I don't even know if my dad's gonna make my graduation. He's like late coming from work. And then all of a sudden he's like calling me, like knocking on the room where we are. He's like, I just want to see my daughter before she walks across the stage.
And there's 660 people. You're trying to time that right so you can just get in there. Well, you also have a W in your last name. Like, you're going to be on the tail end of this shit.
They mixed it up too, though. So I was like some random number in the center.
That makes no sense. People trying to time this shit.
But by the time all the cars leave, you get out. It's like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Our family hasn't eaten because I had to be there at 6. I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry. I just wanted White Castle and then like to go to bed.
White Castle is a diuretic. Okay, like it's prescribable. Like it should honestly be part of any doctor's utility belt. You know.
Yeah. When I'm at the hospital approving bowel regimens, I'm like, White Castle should be on here.
Honestly, yeah. It's like, here's some probiotics because we're kind of worried about you, but go
Yeah.
get a Crave case. You're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You're gonna pass those chicken bones just like your dog. We took the scans. You're gonna be
You're
cool.
good. You're fine.
You're gonna pass it. I promise.
So then, do you feel the same way about Skyline? Because I know that's a reason why a lot of people hate Skyline is because they feel like it messes their stomach up too.
No, I have a stomach that's been made for that after
Same.
a lifetime of it.
Yeah, what's funny is, so my mom's from the Philippines. She moved to Florida. Then she moved to Ohio. And when she met my dad introduced her to Skyline. And she was like, this is disgusting. Absolutely not. They ended up getting pregnant with me. And then my mom craved Skyline.
Yes.
Which is like, fuck yeah.
Oh my God. I only know a couple of people that like that was their pregnancy craving.
Yeah.
But it seems like a hilariously on brand one.
Mm-hmm.
It also seems like it has a risk of ruining Skyline for you after those 9 months, and or indoctrinating your child in a way that's pretty much like being bored with like fetal alcohol syndrome or whatever that is.
Yeah,
Like,
you're just addicted to Skyline at this
except
point.
you come out the womb pretty ready for that.
You're not wrong. But growing up, we would then go every Wednesday.
Nice.
Because the one by us does Kids Eat Free on Wednesday nights. So they would text up their friends and be like, hey, y'all, we're meeting at Skyline, going at 6:30, bring the kids. The kids would be like, kids, also me, would be playing in the parking lot because we would get like bouncy balls from the quarter machine.
Nice.
And then the parents, they're all at their own table enjoying their foods. The kids are at their table eating all their free little mini Skylines. So
I feel like Kids Eat Free is going away very quickly because I'd imagine that deal gets abused pretty good.
oh, absolutely, because it's like I think up to like 12 years old. Kids nowadays, man, it'd be like, I'm 12.
But an 11-year-old can put down some food. I watch my 2-year-old nephew eat, and I'm like, this could be really problematic when you take him like to the Kids Eat Free at where was I thinking of? Cracker Barrel.
Man, I haven't been to a Cracker Barrel in a hot minute.
That's a gift shop. It's barely even a restaurant
You're
at this
right.
point.
I think the last time I ate Cracker Barrel was when I was working at old pharmacy up in Fairfield, and we wanted something to eat for Thanksgiving, and work was going to pay for it. So
Nice.
of course we ordered like the Thanksgiving meal from Cracker Barrel.
Jesus. And someone in the back is like, this is not festive. Like, this is gonna ruin my life.
Yeah, definitely I was like half asleep the rest of the day, and it wasn't very good. But
It's a coma causing kind of meal, and like it should be.
it was free food.
Yes.
Okay, I'm all about
It'll
the free
set
food.
you up in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Were you a pageant kid?
Absolutely not.
Really?
No, Miss Ohio was my first pageant ever.
No, that's exactly what I was wondering. Good for you.
Thank
Ball
you.
out or nothing, you
Yeah,
know?
literally just walked in and was like, "Hey y'all, I'm here. What do I do?"
So you learned the full format of those kind of pageants on the spot, pretty much.
Pretty much.
And you only competed 1 year.
Only 1 year.
That's
So,
crazy. How many people have a one and done record?
the girl I ended up crowning, so her name was Sakura Carroll. I
Say her name
actually
again?
Sakura Carroll.
Sakura.
Sakura.
Okay.
I actually have a modeling job with her tomorrow.
Bang.
I was with her runway coach a couple years back, and we do tons of runway jobs together. And I remember it was like New Year's, and I was like, you should definitely run for Miss Ohio. And she was like, no, I don't know anything about that. I'm also not a pageant girl. I was like, I went on my first try. I was like, I love your personality so much. I think you could win this thing. And she had a bunch of other people also tell her to run, and she did it, and she won on her first try too.
That's wild. Do you think not being a pageant kid and having a lot of life lived and a really diverse experience in your work life, also pursuing such an intense career, like that kind of set you up for success, whereas most of these people are from the pageant world, that modeling is pretty much their whole life?
Yeah, I think it helps diversify you a little bit. I do know some girls that, pageants are their whole life. They've done it since they were a kid. They don't do anything else besides pageants, pageants, pageants. Working out, interview practice, making money to afford one of those expensive dresses.
You have to buy all your own gear for those?
Yeah, unless you have a sponsor.
That's trash.
Yeah, and then to get into the pageant, it's expensive.
Like how expensive?
Depends it depends, what kind of package you want to go for. So,
With different packages for being in it, where it's like, do you want to buy a week in the first couple rounds? Like, what are you talking about?
no, I mean like, hair and makeup, right? I already know how to do my hair and makeup from modeling, so that cost me no money. I did buy, I think, a makeup palette, and a new, thing to apply makeup. And so that cost me maybe $50. So that's out of my pocket. But if you want to hire a makeup artist or hair technician, that can cost like upwards of over $1,000.
What a weird money making venture it is to offer premium packages for pageants, which maybe they're a resume builder to some extent. But I'd
Yeah.
imagine most of these, besides like the Miss Statewides and then is it like Miss, like what's the top tier after you do a Miss Ohio? What do you go to?
So let's explain the two different types of pageant systems. You have Miss America, which is I say more of your high school girls, your college girls, because you win scholarship money. Then there's the Miss USA, which they just changed the age range on. It's 18 and up. There's no age cap, so grandma can compete.
That's gnarly.
Something.
Is it problematic? I feel like those contests would lean towards younger contestants
Yeah.
having a competitive edge.
Yeah.
But what would be the issue that you'd see with not having an age?
Maybe I'm old fashioned, which I think that's definitely a factor.
Is geriatric not sexy?
Yeah. Yeah, it totally is. Totally is. No, but for me, I feel like I'm old fashioned in the sense it's Miss USA, MISS, right?
Can't be wed.
Usually it means like you're not wed, and it is like, it's been a pageant that's been going on for 72 years now, and it's always been like that age range. I feel like that's your age range where you're like most like go after it. I think still it's going to be primarily women in their 20s. I know they're trying to expand to be more inclusive, which I think is really cool, but I think I'm just old fashioned in the sense of like I like how things were and I don't like change as much.
Totally. Well, I feel so. Explain the two pageants though. Like,
So you got Miss America, right? So that's the one you actually have to have a talent for. You're like performing, singing, dancing, and then you win scholarship money. It is a huge pageant. It's been going on for actually over 100 years now, or maybe 100 years.
that's wild.
Yeah. So Miss America was like the OG. Then Miss USA broke off, which became more of just a beauty pageant, which is really cool. But then the idea of Miss USA changed, and that's the one that moves on to Miss Universe. So in my opinion, Miss USA is the big dog because you also make a salary if you win Miss USA.
Like for the year, and then they'll
Yes.
find you.
$100,000 for the year.
Okay.
Whatever.
You know that's good money, but considering the echelons of that kind of pageant, like I'm sure the money they make off of who wins Miss USA is more than 100 grand. Like being a free
Hmm.
agent with that kind of, gloating material is probably better than that, but so be it.
Yeah. So then they try to. So that's one thing I've realized with pageants. So we'll just keep continuing on. But so after you win Miss USA, then you go to compete at Miss Universe in hopes that you win Miss Universe. The current Miss USA, not current Miss USA, Miss USA, current Miss USA of 2023, she did move on. 2022. Oh my gosh, all the years are getting mixed up. 2022, she went on and then won Miss Universe, which is really cool. And then so she's spreading her platform. So that's kind of what it goes more about is what platform and what difference are you trying to make? What kind of public figure are you trying to be, right?
Mm.
What's your impact? So what I think is really cool is that like you do get that platform, but at the end of the day, all those pageant systems, it's a business.
Yeah.
And
When I
they
imagine to get to that level, you spend so much money, and some of these people have sponsors, but the amount of people that get cut early, that
mm,
bottom 50%, pay far more than the 100 grand that we're going to put on this salary. Like someone's got a cash cow in their hands when it comes to these pageants, and
yeah.
like all the childhood pageants that lead up to that kind
Yeah.
of seem almost fraudulent at
Yeah,
times.
sometimes it does. And that's where it makes you kind of second guess and question like was it more of a business aspect? And there was a lot of speculation with my year that that could have been what it was about. They actually ended up coming out with a documentary that mentioned a little bit about it. The same day that the new Miss USA was crowned, which is kind of insane.
Damn,
Yeah,
swinging
shade.
for someone's fence.
Shade. It's kind of wild. But there was a lot more other things that happened with my year that need to be called out, and that's what the documentary mostly addressed. So it's interesting. The
Is it
pageant world's insane.
Did you feel like the things called out in the documentary were very relative to your experience and like what you saw?
Mm-hmm. For sure, it did. It was more or less what I saw rather than some of the things I experienced, which I was kind of glad about because a lot of it did mention a sexual predator and being relevant to the vice president of the company. Um, and how then at that point it almost feels like do you need to impress the vice president of the company to get up there in the top 15? Do
Yeah.
you need is it because you didn't, smooge them enough and that's why they didn't want you in the top 15? Did they choose who they wanted? And then all these thoughts start growing through your head like was it rigged? Could I have actually won this? Was it cuz I didn't go at dinner and talk to the vice president every day to make them happy or it's like did I not reach out enough to them, right? Or was it just that I wasn't good enough. It's kind of hard because you start questioning yourself and your self worth.
Yeah, and that differentiator between a beauty pageant and then what you describe Miss Ohio and Miss America as, where it's like this is the overall merit of individuals
Yeah,
and trying to compete in a lot of categories, but trying to have really overall impressive individuals rise to the
yeah,
top. To incorporate schmoozing into that just kind of fucks the whole thing up.
it does. And that's just so disappointing because, man, I can tell you that when I was competing, those 50 other women, because there's 51 because of District of Columbia,
Bang.
um, they're amazing women. It's insane. Like sometimes you almost look around and you're like, God, am I good enough to be here? Because while like yeah, I have my doctorate, and like some of these girls have gone through like serious life things. Others are like NICU nurses and created their own shoe brand because they wanted more nude shoe colors for those of color. Like those businesses are insane, and seeing all these jobs are so cool. It's like you start questioning, like, God, am I should I win?
Yeah.
Because these other women are just as amazing, if not more.
Do you think that that aspect of having to compare yourself to other people is a toxic part of even joining those competitions or being around those competitions?
I think it's definitely about mindset, and for me, it was something I wasn't prepared for. Definitely in high school, I always was a little insecure, and I felt like I was used to always comparing myself. So it was nice, kind of getting out of high school, then going to college, becoming my own person, really figuring out who I am. And then it almost felt like being back in those situations where I was like questioning, am I good enough to be here? Um, so I think definitely that was maybe more of my own mindset rather than it being pushed onto me. So my girls that I crowned, Sakura, I always told her like when she went to Miss USA, like know your self worth, know what you stand for. Don't worry about the other girls. Like, you're just as amazing, if not more. That shouldn't bother you at all.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's hard because you do question everything and it does make you second guess yourself. But there's no one there pushing you to second guess yourself. You just naturally do it yourself.
Yeah. Well, in the pursuit of any type of public figure, for musicians as well, like there's quantifiable pieces of this that you start to push your self-worth against. It's like
Yeah.
whether that's the number of streams or the number of followers or the number of likes on a picture, uh, in appealing to those numbers in the way that you like the actionables in your life, the things you do for that, really start to put some wear and tear on your psyche, and it's a hard thing to avoid in any type of that pursuit. But like, did you find after the fact, once you were done with being Miss Ohio and you crowned someone else, that you were sick of people attributing that to you as like your highest achievement?
It's weird. Like, I went through phases. It was more or less right after I was crowned where I was like, God, like, why does everyone just like keep calling me Miss Ohio? Like, I hate it. Like, I'm Nicole too. I'm still a person. Like, stop calling me Miss Ohio. And then when I went to give up my crown and crown the next girl, I felt like I had an identity crisis. I was like, well, damn, like, I've identified myself as Miss Ohio for a year now. I'm so used to everyone like coming up to me and be like, that's Miss Ohio. And then I was like, well, I'm losing that. And I'm still not graduated. Now I have like this weird in between phase. And now I'm just Nicole again. Do I still have something like cool about me? It almost felt like I lost that identity for a little while.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird. It didn't hit me after Miss USA. It hit me as I was giving up my crown.
And did it help at all to give the crown up to someone that you really liked, and knowing that they get to have this journey that very few people will ever understand, and you get to share that with them?
Absolutely. I always told her, like, I'm living through you right now. Trying to do Miss Ohio during pharmacy school was insane. I will not say it was a mistake, but I definitely didn't get to do as much as I wish I could have with the crown. But I got to see my girl Sakura like go into high schools, go into schools, read books, make a difference, really see her impact on people. So I was kind of excited to like live through her for all that. It did make things easier, and it did take a couple months for me to process like I'm living my life. I'm having so much fun right now. I don't need that crown. If anything, I feel like a weight's been lifted off me a little bit.
Yeah. That, that's a good thing to hear for folks. It's like the achievements have very little to do with how you feel about yourself. It's like they're more of just they're part of like the synopsis that other people give in their minds about who you are and how they introduce you to people. And like, there's a very odd thing with the way people will leverage even the smallest relationship with you through that thing to other people in their lives.
Absolutely.
And you start to realize what you're worth to those folks, and who it's worth cutting off for those reasons.
Yeah. I feel like I've been like cutting off a lot of people recently, or just not necessarily cutting off people, but just keeping my friend group a little bit smaller. And it's been nice. It's been quiet but satisfying. I don't feel like I'm having to try to please everybody.
Yeah. I find it's very difficult in bars, especially when you start to be friends with the bartenders are the ones that like they have a very small knit group, and they like to treat their people really well. And in the bartending community, the handshake is a shot, so it's hard not to be these people's drinking buddies when, especially if their establishment allows them to drink at work. There's companionship there that really is. It's physically toxic, and it can be emotionally toxic.
Yeah.
But it's hard once you get to be on a little bit of that in crowd to step away from that without losing those friendships.
Yeah.
Because you want those people to know that you still care, but it's just I can't be at the bar on my off nights.
Yeah.
I can't go to the clubs that I work on my days off because it just doesn't feel like my place. It really starts to throw me for a loop.
I could only imagine. I guess I never even really thought about that. Like, I couldn't see you just going into Fishbowl just because you want to go into Fishbowl to have a drink.
It will be on a very off occasion, but to go see someone else play, to enjoy my peers is a really nice thing.
Yeah.
But it's just not where I want to be most of the time.
Yeah.
And once it becomes a place where you're highly recognized and kind of pushed into social situations and kind of, you can feel passed around by people. You walk into a room and someone wants to introduce you to these three people with this same 3-point stance that they want to give them just to show their worth through you as this vehicle. Those are the folks that are much easier to cut out of your life, but they still keep doing that thing. That's just how they run.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. I see those people all the time, and I still do. I'll be like, oh my God, this is Nicole. She's Miss Ohio. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm Nicole. I do a lot of other things too, but thanks for throwing that out there for no reason.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's weird to have to clarify those things. Like as much as I this is a personal event. I love my dad dearly. My dad's my fucking dude, and he's amazing. But when he describes my career to people, it's a little more glamorous than what I would describe.
Let me hear it.
Oh my! He's like, my son Matthew has just been pursuing this so hard since he was 14.
Matthew.
He's been on The Voice. He's open for Luke Combs. He's really open for some big national acts and just got people all over the country. Love him.
Just want him.
Well, and it's like, what am I supposed to respond to with that? And like you hear people's spiel, and I respect selling commodities at their highest. But when you have to step in afterwards and now fill the shoes that someone has set in front of you, it starts to feel really offsetting. Like it gets your calibration off for, now I can't talk to you like I would talk to you. I need to fulfill this thing that you've laid out.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Let me ask you a question then, because you're also someone who has different successes, right? Like you have your own goals that you've accomplished, and you have plenty more goals that you're getting after. It's kind of funny, like, yeah, I just graduated. I just officially became a licensed pharmacist, and I posted like, wow, I did this. And then you get all these people saying like, congratulations, and everyone's supporting your small goals in a sense. And it's just like kind of weird. I know this isn't exactly a question, but it's almost like, yeah, like, cool, that was something I did. I'm not the first person to get licensed as a pharmacist. I'm not the first person to model for something. I'm not the first person to win Miss Ohio. But it is cool that you have all these people supporting you and going after things. But for some reason, I still have like that feeling where I'm like, okay, I'm licensed.
Yeah, it doesn't feel momentous to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever have those feelings?
I've definitely felt that way when I look back at certain like pivotal points in my life. They feel relatively flavorless. Like I got married a couple weeks ago. Next day after I got married felt no different with my person.
Yeah, you still love her just as much and everything.
Exactly. It's almost for other people when you do certain things like that. Like you becoming a doctor doesn't change the knowledge that you've gained on a day-to-day basis, but now it tells people that you have this. Like, getting married doesn't change the daily love I pour into this.
Yeah.
It changes what other people can perceive about that. They can see the commitment there. So I guess, in trying to see the question and answer that clearly, like, I don't find much appeal behind the chapter markers. There's things I obviously want, but I try to quantify those goals into my small dailies. Like, if you don't have something that you can do every day that moves the meter, that feels really positive, like for me, it's my little bit of yoga. If I can find time,
I see it every day.
I know, and hopefully I'm not bothering people with that shit. Sometimes,
you're not.
Sometimes you feel like, why am I doing this? Am I doing this to show other people, or am I trying to be honest with myself through this lens? And occasionally you get a positive kickback, and that helps make it feel worth it. But sometimes you do feel like a nuisance for posting the same thing you always do. Yeah. It's the same way I feel about posting shows. It's like, am I pissing people off with this?
Do people actually care that I'm playing right now?
Exactly. If I play 5 times a week, do people really care? If I'm practicing pretty much every day, do people care?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I love seeing when you say what days you're going to be playing somewhere. I'm like, oh, I'm off Thursday, or oh yeah, I'll probably be down at the banks. I'll stop in and see you at Fishbowl for a little bit.
If you can be convenient for people, that's where you're going to get those kind of things. And I do believe that you have leverage. You really put your weight behind trying to get people to show and make that the main focus. But I don't need to be anybody's end all be all. I just need to be the right place at the right time for you to give me 45 minutes of your time, so maybe I can play some shit you're gonna dig.
Yeah.
But like for me, songwriting is the best way of categorizing steps in life, because I can look at my songs objectively and say, for some reason at 22 I hit something on the nose and that felt right and I love that song still. Or I look at that garbage and I realize at that point in my life was clouded by a bunch of other nonsense.
Yeah.
So I think having like creative outputs that are a little more menial, they're shorter form. I can finish the package in a day, at least in
Yeah.
like the structure of the song, makes me feel really good. In the same way that I imagine like when you leave a shoot that say it's something that you've done just for personal sake. This isn't
Yeah.
a project someone's paying you for. This is I have a vision of what I want to see, and I'm going to look at the raw 100 and pick my favorite 3.
Yeah.
That feels like a momentous occasion.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Or when you can go through a day's work and you feel like I felt my purpose in the way that I could check these 3 doctors on dumb mistakes they made, or I just did what I needed to so efficiently
Yeah.
that I'm able to get on with the rest of my day.
Yeah, it does make sense. I think I sometimes do look over all those small moments. I think I'm just very ambitious and someone who's like never satisfied. So I'm like, that's just a small goal. Like, okay, like I did that. Check. What's my next thing?
Yeah. Well, and the next thing is a scary proposition because as you up the ante, as you do things that other people see as epic, and also having the eyeballs of these other people seeing you do big things, they expect more big things.
Yeah.
Whereas like you going back to just your normal day to day is more heroic than spending the next week trying to find the next scratch of the itch, because that's an addiction in itself. Like that's
It
a dopamine
is.
release that
Yeah.
we all want. I'd like to open for bigger and bigger names every time I get the chance, but I don't get
Yeah.
that chance more than once or twice a year. So in the meantime, I just need to beat my head against the wall at my gigs and try to write a better song that I can bring up tonight and eat shit at it for a month. Because then when that finally clicks, it's like that's a happy moment for
Yeah.
me.
That's understandable. It is really cool seeing how artists write music and they perform their music, how they feel their music.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to watch Blake write some music, and it's very interesting seeing how even music's developed, because I can tell you I know nothing about the artistry world when it comes to music and songwriting.
Yeah, well, they certainly aren't all of your own doing. Like, there's a little bit of that, like, whatever you call a muse, or if you got God in your life, like, every idea you got is a gift. When you have something particular in mind, you're actually capable of pulling that thing out. It's a really special moment. But if you're trying to look at yourself as a higher being for being able to do that, it's like, no, fuck your shit. You know, it's not worth nothing to you in that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I feel so awkward, like, whenever I was thinking about, like, what new thing I want to try. My next new thing was, like, trying to do a bit more social media work, right? Like, trying to film, like, TikToks, like, talk about my life and how crazy it is and all the million things I love doing and how I'm always pursuing something new. But then I'm like, is anyone actually going to be interested in, like, seeing any of that or hearing any of that?
Yeah.
So,
And once it becomes your whole focus, social media is such a time suck without a lot of ROI. Like, the great thing about this show for me is I spend so much of my social media time talking about myself, putting my logo on yet another thing, trying to get people to pay attention to me.
yeah.
And that turns me back to the metrics of, was it a success? Do people give a shit about me yet?
Yeah.
And most of the time, the answer is still no. And dealing with that only brings you down.
Yeah.
So a project like this, where I still make no money off this show,
Yeah.
but every single week I have a new friend to talk about, to highlight things about them that I find impressive,
Yeah.
or just to have some nonsense that I enjoyed us laughing about.
Like
this.
talking about Skyline, obviously.
Exactly, things that are just like they may be mundane, but it's a quick frame into a friendship that you can have with somebody, and it ranges from folks I'm meeting for the first time, and they're walking into my parents' house, and I'm saying, let's go down this basement where I've been working for the last decade of my life at a bunch of nonsense,
Yeah.
and get to know each other. Or it's someone like yourself, where how long we've known each other now? 6 years.
A hot minute.
Yeah, we met
Has
through
it really been that long?
we met through Kalia my sophomore year, which was
Oh, man.
2017, maybe 2018.
Wow, time flies by so fast.
That's an eerie thing. We're gonna die sometime.
Stop it. We're never going to die. We are immortal.
Let's go straight to that topic. It's like, boy, is that freaky the way that time flies. And I think as you get older and you have more experiences to relate them to, like we were saying, as you kind of up the ante of what is awesome in life, like really unfathomably new and exciting,
Yeah.
those moments can move slow at times. But the more days you have to compare it to, the quicker they start to roll by.
That's true.
You have less fascination with how good the water is today, or damn, I made a banging breakfast. Like it's not new,
Yeah.
and because of that, your brain goes on autopilot, and yet another day and another couple minutes slip through the fingers.
That is true. I feel like, as of the past couple years, I'm always like itching for something new, right? Itching for something to do. And lately, it's definitely not been the bars. I think for a year or two, it was like, well, that's a thing to do. That's where you make friends. That's where you go. The bars is where it's at. And now I'm just like, well, now we can go to like haunted houses. We could go to pumpkin patches. We could go to football games. We could go to like Reds games. There's so many other things you can do that are more fulfilling, I think, than just going out.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to experience all that right now.
And events like that too. Like I like seeing production put into things. Like there's a lot of times where I walk into a show, and to me it's just putting up my same level of bullshit and getting started.
Yeah.
But if I drag the lights out, if I drag a fog machine out, I mean,
Ooh.
to someone that didn't expect anything and I
Yeah.
floor it,
Yeah.
now it feels like we're stopping. This is a moment in time. Maybe they're going to get something more out of this because I took those extra steps. There's definitely diminishing returns, especially with the fog machine. Some people are like, that's trashy as hell.
Halloween.
But yeah, but like when you come in with the pumpkin patch, like, isn't it amazing to think for the last year someone's been tending to these things, just hoping that one of these fat boys ends up like 100 pounds, they can get in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah.
Or just seeing a happy kid. Like I'm noticing that the best thing about having nephews or my nieces is getting to see them exciting about things that I stopped being excited about.
Yeah.
Like every time they come over here and I ask them to play the drums with me, like they sit on that little kit, I sit on the
Oh
big
my
kit, and we play follow the leader. And most of the time they don't let me lead.
I believe that.
Yeah, but that's kids on a drum set, and so be it. But if I can show them something and they get the aha moment, I get to share in that little bit of ecstasy. And
Yeah.
aha moments are definitely the best natural drug there is.
Yeah.
You know, like the moment that you can get things to finally click for somebody. And sharing those parts of life is way better than the accumulation of shit. You know,
Absolutely.
like every time you get the Amazon package, like you're trying to scratch that same itch.
Yep.
And I'm really good at tearing through that tape, but it's becoming less and less cool. I
Yeah.
did buy some mace because I do have some gigs where I'm feeling a little less safe.
Oh, no.
So I'm pretty
In
excited about
Cincinnati?
that. Yeah, I'm gonna go test it out somewhere. I don't know.
It's actually not that cool to spray, I'm not gonna lie.
Have you maced somebody?
No. So I had mace going into college, like on my keychain that my dad gave me, hot
Yeah.
pink, super cute. And then of
All
course,
the options were hot pink. Why? Why is there no gender neutral
Yeah.
mace?
terrible. I think that one was for breast cancer though, so it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's acceptable. But I was at definitely maybe a frat party or a house party in college, like freshman year, and someone was like, "We should spray that right now," and I was like, doesn't that just like go everywhere? Like, what if everyone's eyes start burning? And they were like, we'll just do it way over here. And I was like, all right, sounds good. We did it. And just goes,
It does seem like it's a very
that's it.
sad, like it's not even like Super Soaker range, you know?
no.
Like it's just
a
like
steady stream
leaky
that just
faucet
goes
vibes.
straight forward. That is it. I thought it was going to be like more eventful.
yeah. You're probably
not.
better off using Old Spice and a lighter for self protection because at least you can get that shit long. Did you ever do that as a kid? That shit's wild to watch.
I've seen people do it like on like videos and stuff, but never in person have I tried that.
Me and my boy Corey were big Axe body spray teens.
I'm
So-
sure there's plenty in there to light up too.
Yes, exactly. You start burning chocolate. It doesn't smell good anymore. It sounds pretty violent. And also
Wait.
another think about like you want to talk about carcinogens? Like
Yeah.
cigarettes got nothing on Axe body spray aflame.
Oh man, you're right. Yeah, I can't stand the smell of cigarettes though.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Sometimes it smells pretty good. Like I don't smoke cigarettes. Like I think cigars smell way better.
No way. I think that they're not very good.
Really?
I don't know. I'm weird about that.
Yeah.
Then again, I used to think weed smoke used to smell awful too.
Now that I see being like, it's an acquired taste. And now my time away from it a little bit, like I am reminded of like the skunky pungentness
It
of it.
does, yeah.
And I think like you associate the smells with the feelings you get of it. So if you've
Ooh.
never reassociated with the feeling you get from a cigarette, you'll never learn to like it.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now I've never smoked a cigarette, and I don't really intend to because I see that being such a quick vice in your life.
Probably also not great for your voice, but
Yeah, that's one of the bigger reasons to stepping away from smoking in general. It's like, and I was being careless about it, but the constant inflammation of it, like your vocal cords are a flap that oscillates. It's trying to make this really consistent vibration, and so as you start to get a consistent vibration, like anywhere you have inflammation, those nodules can't separate and close. They're just inflamed, and so they try and they quiver, but you lose that range.
Interesting.
Yeah, and nothing's more humiliating than voice cracks. And I had to get in front of fuckers 5 days a week, you know.
Yeah.
And if my voice starts being shitty, like, I'm gonna get made fun of.
Yeah, I think it's insane that you're able to sing for such a long period of time, that many days of the week, and like your voice still not like hurt or you're still okay. I'm assuming it's just over years of practice.
It's similar to most musculature in your life. Like if you're used to running 10 miles every day, 10 miles doesn't feel like that bad. But chronic injuries will take that away from you. And like the moment that, say this is your full vocal range, if you lose this because of the inflammation and you start faking it through that range, like, okay, I get there, and
You kind of push it too
yeah.
hard.
Did you ever sing in a choir or anything like that?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
We ain't that good.
Well, so like you have they call it your falsetto, your head voice, where
Okay.
you feel like you're talking in like your Disney kid voice, like
Yeah.
that really high part of your range where it almost feels like it's from the neck up.
I will say I had a vocal coach for like a year, but
And what was that for? Like public speaking kind of vocal coach?
no, I wanted to do musicals in high school.
Lat, dat, dad. It'd be pretty cool. I did one play in high school, and I never respected that shit until I got in there, and I got my world rocked by
Yeah.
like what it takes to do the blocking and all that.
Oh yeah, so I was always not a really good singer or dancer, so I went the stage manager route. So I like telling people what to do.
Nice headset on, clipboard
Yeah,
in
but I'm
hand.
like, come on, y'all, it's time to go.
You
Get
lazy.
Get your stuff together on the stage.
So why are you now addicted to line dancing? Let's talk about that issue in your life.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, in case you're wondering, it's great cardio. Kalia
We
and I
ta-
burned 560 calories yesterday.
You really think those kind of stats are accurate?
I'm gonna tell myself they are. Let's not talk about
Just
it.
because you got an Apple Watch on doesn't mean it knows you that well.
It probably doesn't.
You got to go with like the gym class heart rate monitor.
Oh, the one that goes like right here. Oh, that'd be so funny. I don't know. For the first time we did it was right after I took my boards exam, and that was the last thing I wanted to do. I was drained. I knew I did not pass that exam, and I was kind of like heartbroken, and I was like, damn it, I already promised Kalia and my mom and my other girlfriend that I was gonna go, and I've been wanting to go. I'm just gonna suck it up, pin on a cute pair of boots, and go do it. And we did it, and it was actually so much fun. I was terrible at it, but we all kind of were, so we're all laughing at each other, just having a good time. And it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, it's not the bar. It is a bar. Obviously, they got drinks and stuff too if you want drinks, but it's everyone there. Like, there's probably at least 300 people. They're all line dancing on that floor. Not everyone is great. Some people are amazing.
Yeah.
But
And some of those people aren't drinking at all, which
No.
is very foreign for that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't drink at all last night. I haven't for the past couple weeks there. It's just fun because you're like getting a little workout in. You're just moving your body around, just having fun. It's a really good community too because you don't feel judged. And I feel like that was kind of always my problem that I was afraid of growing up, was like worried about what other people thought of me. So it seems like a really nice environment just to kind of play around. I don't really care if people make fun of me for doing the wrong moves. They're also doing the wrong moves. So,
Yeah.
like, it's okay. So I think it's the community and just everyone there for a good time that's got me really hooked on it.
There's something about dancing that makes you enjoy the music so much more, where it's like, I think if you grew up taking any kind of musical lessons, if you've tried and then you watch someone excel at it, you appreciate those things more. I mean, to at least take the risk of failing gives you some kind of grasp of what it takes to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think even if you have no moves, even if you're an awful dancer, to participate in the music takes you like, I always describe a song as like, it's like walking into someone's house. Like, you can be sitting in the living room, that's the chorus, that's where everyone feels comfy.
Yeah.
They can get intimate in the verses, and you can see some like you see the inner workings of these spaces, and you actually feel like you're in the space.
Yeah.
If you're just watching the show coldly, drinking your beer, say it's a crowded ass bar, and you're just screaming to the person next to you, and you feel unimpressed by the music, but you haven't participated in the music.
Absolutely.
There's such a disassociation there.
Yeah.
Versus if you put a little bit of ass into it, suddenly the music actually has purpose in your life. I'm like,
Yes.
I have a hard time passing time with music. If I have to listen to music on a road trip, I count songs. 3 minutes can feel like a lifetime to me.
Yeah.
But if I'm dancing, the time flies.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we live in a generation now where the only time people dance is on their TikTok videos when
Yep.
they can hide the mistakes. But you go to a bar and no one dances together anymore. And that's a shame. And then when you walk in a community like that where it feels vibrant, people are getting a sweat on, people enjoy the music. When their favorite comes on, they rush out there and they're fucking screaming about it. Like,
Yes.
it's such a better way to enjoy.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you get people past that threshold of embarrassment again.
For me, it's taken a while. I think having that platform as Miss Ohio and it being pushing me to, like, you know, be a little bit different, like a little, try to get out of my shell has helped a lot. It kind of also, I always say, pushes me past the point of giving a fuck, to say it plainly.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, you know, I know my worth. I love myself. I don't really care if you judge me. They're probably judging me. So are they. Everyone judges everyone. But at least if you're judging me, at least I know I'm having fun and enjoying myself. And I try to push other people too when I'm out and about, like this past weekend being at that concert. I'm up there doing that line dance of the song I know. And my brother's girlfriend and her sister didn't really want to dance because they didn't know the song. I was like, well, just join in. It's super easy. And then they end up doing it. And then my brother's girlfriend's sister ended up coming to line dancing yesterday. So it's like just even those like little pushes and trying to get people to feel comfortable and that there's nothing to be embarrassed about or worried about, I think makes a huge difference. But someone's got to start that cascade.
Yeah, but like the permanence of being caught on video looking stupid is such a real concern for folks.
Same here still. Like my mom got a video of me like kind of in the corner dancing and posted it to Facebook. She's like, do you mind if I tag you in it? And I was like, what? Can I see the video? She's like, I just posted it. I was like, all right, great. I'll see you on Facebook in a little bit.
But if we're being like, what's that app where they try like iReel or something like that? No, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of iReel Pro, which is like a charting app for musicians. But like it's the one where you take the front and the back picture where they're trying
to be real.
Be real, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. Like you're trying to catch people in a moment where you can't go do your makeup, you can't put a filter on, you can't pretend like this is anything other than what it is. Like, to be tagged without your permission kind of sucks.
Throws me off.
But it's also way more us. Like, sometimes when me and Em are taking pictures together, like, I hate if we hit picture number 20 of this same pose, and like, if my baby's not happy with it, I won't put it up. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
But if someone takes an awful picture of me, and plenty of people do, like, if someone comes to my gig and takes a picture of me, odds are I'm drooling on my guitar and I'm cross-eyed and I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
But I can't change the lens that you're gonna view me through.
Exactly.
And I can't change the lens that you're gonna expose other people to me through. And to act like that's the first impression that matters, it's like I can't control, especially the internet.
Yeah. I can only imagine, definitely from your own standpoint, because being a musician and an artist, I mean, you're gonna be making some funny faces, and I think I would be very in my head about like, oh, someone posted that picture of me, like it is my reputation. Why would I want to be represented that way?
Yeah. Well, I think the worst for musicians too is like when people take videos on their phone, the sound quality is not very good. They'll probably catch you at a point in time where like maybe the action's not hot. Maybe you're not playing anything that you think is, catchable. That's really going to make a difference. Or you fuck up the lyrics to a song, or you play a wrong note, and now people are going to be exposed to that first. First, if you heard the studio version, I spent hours choosing this the and not that the. But now appreciating like the multiple realms of development where you can see me in a totally unfiltered form off your buddy's phone in the worst possible video versus the music video that I have toiled over every single aspect of, down to the color grading with someone else.
Yeah.
And I get in heated arguments about why this is better and why that's not worth it. Like, and I'm sure you're used to that, where this is how you have to answer this question, not this way, or this is why this prescription needs to be that, not this.
Yeah.
Particularity only gets involved in so much of your life before it starts to be this all-consuming need for control.
Absolutely. I mean, modeling's the same way. You'll like shoot with a photographer, and they get all the raw images, and they'll let you choose sometimes like your own pictures you like, and they'll choose which ones they like, and then they send them to you. And then sometimes they'll post some, and you're like, why'd you post that picture? Like, that one's terrible. But then other people love it. So it's kind of like, sometimes you are your own worst critic too.
Yeah. What do you think about the future of the world of modeling as the body of work that's available of stock images and whatnot is now going to be used to reproduce all the new materials needed?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. I wouldn't be surprised if the world does start to go that way. I don't plan on modeling for the rest of my life. I am going to run with it and see where it takes.
But geriatric is sexy. You could be 95.
So sexy. Let
out
me
here
model
with
for
your
that
walk.
Miralax.
I mean, listen. My feet pics are going to be worth more when they look pruny, you know?
They like that.
They really do.
Oh my God, stop. I hate that you would know that. I don't know. I plan on modeling and see where it takes me. That's like the really cool part about only being a part-time pharmacist is that I'm also part-time modeling. But I wouldn't be surprised if things start to go more AI and they're able to generate pictures and just like use your picture and let me just copy and paste all this different clothing on so we don't even need to take actual imagers.
Yeah.
But I think for the moment it will still be using real people just because I think the consumers want to see what does it look like on real people.
Yeah.
I know I do. Most of the time I try to like always scroll down on maybe a pair of pants I'm buying because I got long legs. So I want to see like the model size and be like, oh, well, she's like as tall as me. So that works. Maybe that shirt, maybe those pants will fit me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's where modeling stays.
Well, the world of online shopping makes that so trippy. And I
does.
can't really imagine. I'll buy a T-shirt offline, but like I ain't gonna go for like full fashion influence from there. Like I'd rather go to the Macy's sale rack because there's a bunch of shit that people in normal jobs really don't want to wear that mustard shirt. But I am down. Okay,
That's true.
Like I'll take the worst designs possible. I'm like I'm wearing this to Ruby's. Like, this is gonna be nice. Me with a bolo tie, hell yeah, players.
They're going to be all about it.
But I think as like AI in all forms of art starts to become the mainstream way of doing things, having real people make it is going to add that layer of weird and a little bit extra that makes it interesting. Like when it comes to my own merch sales, you can use websites like Redbubble and whatnot to design a shirt, upload the logo, and they're going to do all the outsourcing of where it's printed,
That's
where it's shipped to. And it's weird that clothing brands, especially local clothing brands, are going one of two ways. Either that way, where it's all online, you never see any brick and mortar, you never actually print the shirts yourself, or you have someone like my boy Jay Banks over at Native, where every time I order 50 T-shirts from him, I go in, I watch this guy
Hand press them?
exactly, and go through that hell and run out of ink and tell me it's going to be a couple more weeks if it's going to be like there's hiccups with humans, but there's a different level of interest.
Yeah.
So like the shirt that you modeled for me, those were very successful shirts, and I think because you have someone that looks like someone who doesn't look like a stock image, someone who puts some flavor into, I'm gonna make my makeup somewhat reflect the image of this shirt. I'm gonna find a backdrop that feels cool. Or my friend Kayla modeled a hoodie for me.
Yeah.
Where she's in front of like the carousel down the banks for a little while.
Yes.
Those things take people from, will this look good on me, to, it looks good enough to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think there's sometimes that fashion, it doesn't matter what it's going to look like on you. It just matters what it looks like. You'll figure it out for how you like to fit it and decorate it to yourself.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, I do that with all my clothing, I think. Especially because I'm a sales rack kind of girl, too. Not necessarily Macy's, because I still think Macy's is a little pricey.
Really?
Yeah. Girl.
Sales rack Macy's, though. I mean, come on.
Maybe I haven't been to a sales rack Macy's.
Did you get those double cargos at Dillard's? Tell me the truth.
No, I got these at Akira.
Kira?
Akira. Like you
Acura.
Acura. Got it at Acura. No, it's in the mall. It's like the place you'd walk by and it has like spedazzles and bright colors and like, is someone actually wearing that outfit in the window?
Damn.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, that's kind kind of concerning. They have some good finds, and it's always usually on the sales rack because no one's actually going for the normal people kind of stuff is what I call it.
Nice.
So then I got these for only $30, so I was pretty excited about it.
I haven't seen a pair with that many pockets on it almost in my life, so I was super into when you walked out. You crushing it.
I don't know what to do with all the pockets except for to put my phone in the back one.
Isn't that weird the way that, like, you'll wear a hole in the particular back pocket that your phone's always in, and before you'll just switch pockets, like, no, I need a new pair of pants. That's my phone pocket. That's how I roll.
Absolutely.
I gotta keep everything clear of my front right pocket because that's where I keep my picks. And if I put like spare change in there, like I'll start trying to play with a nickel and I'll fuck up some strings real good.
You're
and
like, oh, shoot.
It's very embarrassing, you know. And then it's like, then if you run out of picks in that pocket, you start scrambling all over the place. Then you just look like a dummy.
Yeah. Well, don't you guys like usually have like a little mic stand with all your little mic?
I used to have one of those little clips, and like they're super fun to have, but like it's kind of a pain in the ass to always put it on there and then fit all your picks to it. Like until you have someone that sets your shit up, that's kind of like a luxury that like no like
you do already have like a huge setup.
Yeah, I bring all my nonsense, but that's for my own entertainment. You know, like if I didn't bring all that shit, then I would have less fun.
Yeah.
And as much as I like to be a show that people want to watch. I do this for my own enjoyment above all things.
Absolutely. I think that's one of my favorite things about watching you perform is like you're might be a one-man band one night, but you have the most fun out of anyone who's in that bar.
For sure. And if I get to drink in addition to that, like hallelujah, like let's end it. Let's get a little weird with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
As you're starting to be around more live music, has your taste for what you listen to just in your own headphones in your private life changed?
No. Not really. I mean, I almost listen to music maybe a little bit differently, is the way to put it. Just because it's like, oh, I've heard this like song like actually sung in person, or I've heard someone else singing the song, and I'm like, man, I think this person who sings the song is so much better than the actual artist sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny the things you pick up on and the things you start associating songs with.
Totally. And I think there's layers of consumption with it. Like the first layer is like, did it sound good to your ear? Was it passable?
Yeah.
Number 2 is, did you like the lyrics? Are you singing the chorus by the second time you hear it?
Yeah.
Third layer is like, was there a moment in the song that really connected you? Like you can walk through all these things in the same way that like the jeans can't just look nice. They got to be nice quality. They got to go through the washer a couple times and still be great.
Yeah.
You know, they have to develop in that way for it to be really top tier in my mind. And I feel like so much of what we consume now in life is that first level of consumption, and then fuck it, it's out.
Very true. I think I do definitely go for those songs that are a little bit more catchy. Definitely the love songs. I know.
Are you a musical set for love songs? Well, I feel like so many people love breakup songs, even when they're like happily in relationships. I think that's hilarious too.
That's also funny. No, I'm always like, oh, I love this love song because it feels like my love right now, you know?
Yeah.
I'm definitely one of those basic girls, but I also love the music that is catchy. It's like, you know, I have only heard this song twice, but now it's kind of stuck in my head and I kind of want to keep hearing it.
Yeah, earworms are really weird like that. The way that something can subliminally work into your head. Like I'll find myself like, if I really can't sleep, sometimes I get caught in a loop of one lyric that stood out. And I can't move on to, like, I could sing the whole song in my head, but for some reason it's just over and over again. And like that's tormenting. That is some dumb shit where you're just caught in a lapse. Yeah. It's kind of like thinking over like the worst thing you've done in your life, but it's just that part that you can't change. Except it's like some guy making a metaphor about dirt, and I'm just way too into it. And I'm like, God damn, this is keeping me up. Like, it's nonsense.
That's so funny. So it's not even like your own lyrics that's like keeping you up. It's like a song you heard or something.
Definitely not my own lyrics. I find my own lyrics to be like relatively thoughtless at times, but I think it's better that way because if you pour over, I've heard that your first draft of anything is shit. You have to go back and revise it. But I find myself thinking it's shit before it gets there. So the moment that it goes down is when I start to have to like let go a little bit. There's lyrics and songs of mine that like I've thought about changing 100 times, but every time I've gone back to change it, I haven't found a better missing piece. Sometimes you do. Okay. Like there's a song there's a song that I wrote for M. It's called Puzzle. And it's a sappy love song for just like, I didn't know the image wasn't done. And then I found out you fit right there. Yeah. And it was right. But but one of the lines is something about like love needs friction,
Okay.
and you're the only way that my carpet gets a shock. And I fucking hate that line. I think it's stupid.
It's kind of corny.
It's super corny.
I kind of like it though.
That's the worst part of it. It's like I'm years into singing this line, and every time I sing it, I have disdain for it because I do think it's corny and like it's not pushing the song forward. But I've sat there at the chopping block and new one, new one, new one. Fuck it, we're going back to the carpet today.
Because it doesn't fit it the same.
Yeah, and maybe that's like you get outside of the range that you can change things. It's like if you went back and you edited a shoot from years ago, it's like I don't connect with this the same way I did the day that it was on the way out, the day it was word vomit, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I have plenty of interviews and all different things. It's like always word vomit, or even like taking pictures. I'm like, damn, I thought I looked so good then. And I look back and I'm like, what was I doing?
The world of posing seems like a way more difficult talent to learn than people understand.
It's different. I think a lot of people underestimate it. And that's why I also love being, I don't know if you know, I'm also a runway coach. Like I coach.
You had mentioned that. And I'm like, what does that pay? Like that can't be a highly profitable biz.
It depends. It just like depends if you're doing like one-on-one or you're doing pageant stuff. I work through my agency, which is also down the street here.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was like driving here. I was like, wow, I feel like I'm driving to work right now.
Who is it?
Envy Models and Talent.
Cool. Is it over in Reading?
Do you know where was it? Sports Pluses? I guess.
Yes.
It's across the street behind that Speedway.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Behind the Speedway?
Across from Wendy's.
Right by that Papa John's?
Yes. Yeah, I've had that Papa John's way too many times.
Makes me want garlic sauce so bad.
Nope, that pizza kind of makes me want to throw up at this point.
Really?
They order it every weekend and like for our classes. So it's classes that the models will go through if they want to become models there, because, you know, they want their models to be reputable people when they go out into the real world, because you can't just be TikTok famous and think you're going to make a ton of money modeling.
But the fact that even models get the same like half-ass pizza lunches as everyone else, where it's like clearly this is a field that cares. It's like if you went to a bodybuilders like competition and they're like, today we have Domino's meat lovers, so because you guys like bulk, you know what I'm saying?
The protein.
The protein.
No, half the time I will eat lunch beforehand, and if I don't get to eat lunch, because I usually work about 2:00 either Saturday or Sunday or both days, which is like lunchtime, I come in and I see that pizza and I'm like,
But that garlic sauce changes everything. I mean, I could hit that with like a Capri Sun straw and
It
just
is
be
so
game
good.
on.
It is so good. I won't lie. Man, no, I think it's just because I've had it too many times.
Yeah.
But runway modeling is actually really cool. Anyways, back to that.
Please take us back.
Back to that. I love it because it's kind of what you were mentioning when you're talking about your nieces and nephews and like playing on the drum set, and you're just teaching someone a little bit about like how to stand properly, how to walk in heels, or feel a little bit more confident in themselves than they have ever felt, just because they're able to walk a certain way, pose a certain way, and see themselves in a different light. For me, that gives me a lot of joy, and that's also part of the reason why I want to start moving to TikTok, is because I've learned so many things over the past 13 years of modeling that I think I could share with the world, share with other people, and be like, this is something that can be a little life-changing thing for you and can maybe help you out with something. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting the way that everyone needs to learn a little bit about how they carry themselves.
Yeah.
Whether it's shoulders back or walk on, heels are different. I've never walked in heels. I've seen Prince put on some crazy performances in heels.
Yeah.
And I've always aspired to be the type of man that could do that, but I'm not ready for that yet. But
it's a lot.
But in yoga, they talk about like standing on the four corners of your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's really a mind fuck when you start to think about how you stand 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And to feel even pressure on those parts, because to be walking on the ball of your feet is going to put a knot in your calf that you're never going to get rid of.
Yeah.
I imagine with heels, like it's a different type of balancing act, but to do that in a way that you can sustain full runway show where it's like 6 hours, I'm assuming, of walking.
Yeah, tomorrow I have a runway show, so I think we start at 12 doing hair and makeup, and then we have rehearsals and then the actual show. So
will you walk more than a mile in a show like that? Of like the same 40 feet?
Tomorrow's show, probably not, but I have walked a runway show where the runway was, I think, like 50, 60 feet long. So, I mean, if we did that one over and over again, maybe. But that was a one, like, all the way down, all the way back. That was my only time I got to walk.
Yeah.
So, it depends.
For sure.
Depends.
And do you find that we were talking about the wonderful Bridal and Formal, a kick-ass shop.
Yes,
I've heard
that's what
one
I'm modeling for tomorrow.
amazing. Uh, do you find that most of the modeling gigs that are available tend to be from that style of industry where it's like casual clothing doesn't get modeled as much in that kind of full proper show kind of format, but dresses that can pay for that show in one purchase definitely do?
Absolutely, I would say definitely. That's how they also make their money is advertising those kind of dresses. It's just different. Not everyone's going and looking for wedding dresses. There are right here in the wedding district. There's so many different wedding dresses, different wedding stores. So then it's how do you choose them? And it's usually based on advertisement, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I saw them advertise this really cute dress. I want to go there. So I think that helps into playing for those dresses and stuff, if that makes sense. While everyday clothing, it's a little cheaper to make. People are going to be shopping for that either way.
Yeah, and that's like you can take a photo in, and it's like people can try it on, do what they need to. I also find it amazing though, especially in that category where it's like every time you go to a wedding, you watch a girl on the happiest day of her life deal with a bustle that is inherently gonna fuck her life up. Okay, like it's just like it's a detrimental piece of clothing.
Did you watch Emily bustle her dress?
I did not. But I was told that it was quite the process and that
Yeah.
there needed to be some training for this.
Yeah, usually you have to be like dress flipped up over your head. And then someone goes under you and then like does a little tie thing and like does buttons.
It's like
and
watching
then
an umbrella get put away or something like that.
pretty much. It's like that.
But as someone that has to walk in many of those dresses, like
All the time.
I'd imagine there's a very particular form you learn of not tripping and looking like a dumbass.
Oh, and my heels are like 7-inch heels. Yeah, they're insane.
Why is that necessary in a dress where you barely see someone's feet?
Well, if you think about it, the dresses I'm wearing are the sample dresses that are in the stores.
So it's
Right?
even more length than you could ever need, and so you need that lift.
Yes, because those dresses are going to go back in the stores for those girls to try on and then decide, is this the dress, right? So they're going to order sample sizes, and those sample sizes are going to come extra long and a little bit bigger because then they're going to, pin the bride and then they can figure out what's the right size and measurements. Because if a bride gets a dress that's too short, like me with my long legs, I'd be like, yeah, I don't see the vision.
And there's no fix for too short.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So the like the day before, maybe 2 days before, I was helping carry like a case of water into my wife's family home.
Yeah.
And the dress is hanging there. And I've been told not to see the dress
So you saw
for
the
so long.
dress.
I saw the dress. I'm like, forget it. When she walked up for the first look, I was like, I've never seen that dress before in my life. It was the first time I was like, I could actually repress something I
Oh
told
my
myself
gosh.
to.
I will say she had one of those really cool dresses where I think on the hanger it wouldn't look as cool as it did on person.
That's probably a very good point. It's like it almost had like
The
the
drapey effect.
yeah, the open shoulder of it, but the short sleeve. I thought it was gonna be a long sleeve type. And then one of our friends recently got engaged, and
Yeah.
like because I dated someone for a long time who worked in a bridal shop,
Yeah.
I'm always interested to see the dresses. Like I've heard enough about these things
Yeah.
to at least enjoy the variety and appreciate the craftsmanship that goes
Mm-hmm.
into that. I cried when I saw my wife. Obviously,
Did
I
you
cried
get
when
video of all this?
yeah. There's gonna be video. I haven't seen any of it yet.
I can't wait to see it.
I was a bitch.
I
It was
can't
it was
wait to see
awesome.
it.
I'm a sap. But like I saw my friend just in like the fitting of it. It's like I start choking up. It's like there's something that's so emotionally like inclined of that that like as someone that's put on 1,000 of these dresses,
Yeah.
has it totally altered what you thought as a kid that you would want in a wedding dress because you put so many on?
Absolutely. I mean, as a kid growing up, I was like, I will be Cinderella. I will have the big ball gown dress that is full of sparkles and strapless and heart neck like line, whatever it's called. Like
Sweetheart neckline.
sweetheart neckline. There we go.
Gosh.
Words are not happening today. I had to work at 6 a.m. so brain's like not working. But anyways, yeah, absolutely not anymore. Like those dresses are so hard to move in. They're itchy. And then I like to
The
lace.
itchiness. Oh God,
I'm a
I
weird
can't imagine.
texture person.
There's also so much involved in those. Like Em told me for a while the sleeves were held on with Velcro.
Yeah, girl.
I was like, she's got you straight
They're
spaceman.
bad.
Like,
They're
ugh.
bad. Yeah, no, could not do it. And then I was like, I love the look of lace on me, like in pictures and stuff. I think lace always looks beautiful, but the under the arms and like I can't do it. It's a weird texture, and so then I went to more basic. Now I love the simple like crepe type dresses where they just kind of lay there. There's not much to them. Just slick, beautiful. That's it. Like
Yeah.
you're not the dress isn't the star, but you look like the star in the dress.
Yeah. Well, I guess to be able to see yourself in so many of these dresses too, it's like your wedding day wouldn't need to express this big ornate version because you have those photos already. If you
Yeah.
wanted just to go see it, now it's more about like what's actually effective for how I want to feel and be on that day. But it's such an odd thing to be in a very small part of the population that's been there, done that for years, thousands
Yeah.
of dresses. And also meet these designers and whatnot, and they're like, honey, I like you in that. Okay, next year I'll see you again. I'm making something for you. And you're like,
Oh, yikes. Yeah, pretty much. They're like, yeah, we made sure you modeled this dress because we knew this one would look good on you. And it's like, oh, well, thank you. But, don't like this dress at all.
heartbreaker.
Yeah, I am. But most of the time, I wouldn't say that in front of a client, obviously.
sure,
You're like, oh,
absolutely.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of modeling too, where it's just like, I'm here to fulfill your needs in the same way that I'm working on a commissioned song for a nonprofit right now. The first version of the song that I wrote, I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
The first round of edits with them, I
Yeah.
liked it a little less. The next round of edits, I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
Now that I'm fulfilling all the little asks, it's like, I can't wait for this to be over.
Yeah,
You know?
pretty
And-
much. And sometimes jobs can be like that for sure when it comes to the modeling world too. Most of the time I try to be like very positive about it and try to make friends with the clients because clients love to rehire, especially in the Midwest. Like bridal shops for sure. I feel like they like my look, and if you keep the client happy and you give them what they need, they're gonna want you back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and making them happy while compromising with yourself is an interesting side of the art that you're involved in that.
yeah.
But like to see them happy is the ultimate fulfillment.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
even if I'm not thrilled with the artistic piece for my own ventures, at the end of the day, like if that song made you well up, oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
That's my everything.
Yeah.
If you see me in this dress, said that was the right person.
Yeah.
And this will make someone so happy.
It's like my feet might be killing me. I've been wearing these for 12 hours, but you made that sale. You got them people to buy this wedding dress and they love it and you love it. Everyone's happy, then I'm happy.
damn straight, Skipper.
So, yeah, I mean, like I'm getting paid to be here, so I might as well just enjoy myself at that point.
For sure. Well, as we start to wrap this up, where should people follow you at?
They can follow me on Instagram. It is Wess, Wess, Nicole. Or you can follow me on TikTok if I start to try to do that. It is Nicole.Wess, so opposite. It wasn't available on Instagram to do Nicole Wess, so I have to change it up.
There's been many times in our friendship where I've almost called you Wes because it reads like that.
I know.
Because Wes Nicole almost sounds like a stage name.
Is it bad I debated finding the person on Instagram that's named Nicole Wess as their Instagram handle and asking them if I could buy it from them?
No, I think a lot of people do that.
Do they?
There's a lot of money to be made in domains and handles and whatnot. It's honestly a pretty scandalous business.
Yeah.
If you see someone on the up and up and you know to get in front of them on a handle, like the first people on TikTok to go get, David Spade.
That's
who
true.
knows that he's going to sell it to him at some point. It's like, that's a
Dang.
weird venture where you just...
Yeah. Well, I was debating also changing it just to be like Dr. Nicole Wess, and I was like, that felt a little too cocky, so I didn't change it to that.
It's actual.
It is. It
I don't
is.
think Dr. Phil's really a doctor, so like
That's
you have a leg up on some of these people.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It just feels weird. I don't know. I probably overthink things anyways. But anyways,
Branding's important though.
Wess Nicole is my Instagram. We'll see if things change, but that'll be it for now.
Well, you, my friend, are an undeniable pimp in all the things you take on, so keep kicking ass.
You too.
Nicole Wess, everybody. Peace, players.